Hello.
Hello yourself.
So, I exist.
Huh. Yeah, okay, let's skip the introduction skit and let's get to the point. This has not been a good evening for me specifically.
Yeah, there's been all types of
I
technical
need to.
problems, but let's just try to wade
Yeah.
into this.
You will notice that the audio sounds different from my end. That's because I'm using my old microphone, the T-Bone, while the good microphone, the Yeti, the Blue Yeti, started producing this inexplicable popping sounds, and I have no idea why. All of a sudden, it worked fine a couple of days ago when I recorded for the aggressive Retsuko review. But anyway, and then Skype also is being a harlot, and the connection, and a series of technical issues, and bada bing, bada boom. We had 1 hour and a half to do this recording, now we have less than an hour. So let's get started, shall we? We are discussing Pokémon Moon.
Yes, we are.
That's because both me and Ross bought the same game. None of us got Pokémon Sun. We both got the Moon version, and coincidentally, we also got the same starter, Poplio.
Yes. I picked it because of its typing, Water Fairy.
Yeah, I picked it because I like the design of Primarina when it eventually evolves into that.
Funny thing is, my Primarina is male, so...
Mine too. That makes it all the better, if you ask me. Gender identity and all that. You know, in a Pokemon game, because that's a discussion I'd never heard before on Tumblr every day of my life.
Oh, man. So you were more or less a Pokemon virgin going into this, weren't you?
Well, I did play a Pokemon game prior to this one. It was not an official Pokemon game, that is. It was a crossover with a popular strategy RPG game series known as Nobunaga's Ambition. It's basically Disgaea with Pokemon, this game I played. It is far less exciting than it sounds. In fact, it was quite dull. But anyway, Pokemon Moon. Why did I get Pokemon Moon? Why did I decide to break my vow of never caring about Pokemon and I decided to care instead? I don't know. I guess I really digged some of the new designs, Primarina being one of those examples. I like Mimikyu, both visually and conceptually.
Yeah, I like Mimikyu
It's like
too.
this horrifying Lovecraftian abomination that it is so horrifying, so it has to be covered by a sheet of paper. And looked like the cute Pikachu because that's marketable. Very cool. So that's one of the Pokemon I had to catch. And funny story about Mimikyu, the level in which you get to fight a Mimikyu is also the level of the game that's basically a very simple-minded reference to Fatal Frame.
Yes.
I'm sure you noticed.
Oh, I did.
Yes, of course you did.
Because Fatal Frame is one of the scariest series of actual horror games.
So, Fatal Frame in my Pokemon, I approve. And that's decisively one of the few things, the only few things I approve of this game. Because I'm going to give you my opinion right off the bat. I don't think this is a good game. But then again, I don't think the entirety of Pokemon has produced good games in the traditional sense that JRPGs are judged by as good games.
Well, if
I
you
don't think
judge
they're any good.
Well, if you judge a JRPG's quality strictly by its story, then no, Pokemon games are strictly not good games.
I don't think it's a good game for a variety of reasons. Not just the story or lack thereof, because I know what I'm getting into when I buy a Pokemon game. Don't think I don't know. I watched the anime. It's all about, I'm gonna be the very best at enslave random animals and make them fight each other because a friendship or something along those lines. So you get the idea. You know what Pokemon is, even if you've never played a Pokemon game, because it is such a fundamentally known, huge pop cultural phenomenon. It's inescapable, really. So you know what you're getting into. What I find problematic about the game can be discerned from various elements about it, both in relation to the plot progression and in relation to some specific features in the game. And let's start discussing about the game proper. Let's begin with the technical aspect of it, the gameplay and whatnot.
Okay.
Obviously, at this point, you might have realized that my viewpoint is the viewpoint of somebody who was never a Pokemon fan.
Mm-hmm.
And Ross's viewpoint is the viewpoint of a huge Pokemon weeaboo otaku nerd that shall never be anybody's friend in real life.
To be more accurate, I was really into the games in the first 2 generations on the Game Boy Color. Then I stopped playing for a while, then I tried one on the DS, it was Pokemon Platinum, and I was completely bored with it because I felt they didn't change enough by that point. So, and this is the first Pokemon game I've played since, besides Pokemon Go, which honestly really doesn't count as a Pokemon game. But I digress.
You know, we actually had an interesting philosophical discussion about Pokemon Go a few months ago.
We did.
But don't you worry, people. There is not going to be any room for very profound philosophical discussions in our review or casual chit-chat of this game. Let me tell you and forewarn you.
So it's very clear that Madhog has a more overall negative impression of the game than I do, but
I think buying this game was a mistake in the long run, but I still love it and I cannot stop playing it. Not because I think it's any good, but because that's how they get you, man! It makes people addicted, because you gotta catch them all, man! You gotta catch them all, man! And if you can't catch them all, you can trade them, and then you gotta trade them all, man, online, and you can get Pokemon that are not supposed to exist in the Alola region, like a Litwick, man! I got a Litwick! It's not supposed to exist in this game, but I got it anyway. And also I got all 3 starters, because why not? And that's how they get you, man! And all that.
yes,
Honestly, review is over. I think I said everything.
I think there's a little more to go into besides that, honestly. My play
Yeah, of
style
course
in
there
general is I am not a gotta catch 'em all type of person. In fact, far from it. Usually, I pick a very small team of Pokemon that I'm going to use throughout the vast majority of the story, and use them. Then, if I decide I'm going to stick with the game any longer, I start building a more competitive team after that point.
Yes, that's the whole point, in fact, because I finished the main story, well, main story in quotation mark, of the game with a very specific team. I did not collect many Pokemon, I just focused on the few I had. Basically, I applied my veteran JRPG mentality, and I started grinding my starter even before focusing on catching more Pokemon. So by the time I was, say, in the second island, I was already level 30.
Jeez!
That's the kind of competitive mentality I apply to JRPGs, whether they're Pokemon or not. And that is also the reason why I stopped playing JRPGs, because I cannot do this anymore, man.
Too much
I
time.
cannot grind anymore, man. Too much time. Too much sleepless hours during the night. And Pokemon did this to me.
I will say that
My will has been shattered.
I will say that Pokemon is very much the type of game that you can sink really as much time as you want to into it and still get returns out of it. Especially with, the advent of the internet and online battling and everything. Literally, you could spend the rest of
and
your
trading,
existence
especially
finally building
trading.
a competitive team.
Essentially, yes. I have multiple level 70s and 80s at this point.
He got the game a lot quicker than I did, although he took longer to get through the story because of his hyper grinding. But we're basically at the same
Essentially,
point, so
yes.
I think we basically cleared all the major post-game content, so we're basically...
Okay, let me say this to you.
Yeah?
Let me say this to you. I have never lost a battle, not even once.
Have you done the
I've never
battles,
died. Well, okay, online, yes. Online, yes, but that's because you find some real hardcore fanatic weeaboos there. But I'm talking about the game, the challenges offered by the game in the single-player campaign. I never lost, not even once.
Well, I lost...
Not even a single time by mistake.
I lost once. And that's because I couldn't figure out...
That's saying a lot.
And I couldn't figure out exactly what a certain Pokemon's typing was, and I had a primary fairy type team, and it was just using the steel move to wreck house. It wasn't until later on I was like, oh, so that's its typing. And then, the rematch I got immediately, but first match I was just bewildered. Like, what type is this thing?
Yeah. Okay. Let me put things into perspective. I went so far ahead with the grinding that the classic paper, rock, scissors dynamic that's applied to Pokemon types really did not apply to my Pokemon, because at that point they were so strong compared to the competition that even if their moves were not very effective, as the game puts it, they were enough to kill somebody in one shot. So that was never really a problem with me.
For some reason, if you...
Well, up until later on,
yes.
That is.
For some reason, if you somehow have never played a Pokemon game before, which is unlikely, but let's just give you the benefit of the doubt on that one. Basically, the entire battle system revolves around a rock, paper, scissors mechanic, only instead of having, 4 elemental types like most JRPGs do, this one has 18.
Ghost, grass, fire, ground, and rock, which inexplicably are not the same thing, or in the same category. Ice, dark, and then there are the hybrids, like a fairy dark ghost, or the steel dragon fire,
Pokemon can
or
have
whatever.
up to 2 types.
At some point it becomes a bit daunting to remember which is supposed to be weak against which.
It takes a lot of memorization, or just
there are the obvious
in
ones
front of you, but yeah, it can be a problem.
Okay, what does this game do differently is that once you have a first encounter with a wild Pokemon, or a new Pokemon in general, the game memorizes for you which moves from your team are super effective, or just a normal kind of effective, or not effective at all against the particular type, should you encounter it again. Which is very helpful, especially for neophiles.
I would fucking die in this thing if it went for that. I can't keep up with that anymore.
I know. But, so, since this game actually goes out of its way to make life for neophiles as easy as possible, with helpful tutorials and various hints here and there, then it baffles me why it decides to completely cheat new oncoming players. And I'm talking about players who do not have an encyclopedic knowledge of the Pokemon world and all of its many evolutions. They cheat them out of what they want, essentially. So, you catch a Pokemon.
Yeah, a lot of Pokemon
it has 3 evolutions. Let me finish. It has 3 evolutions. Sometimes you get through all 3 evolutions by grinding, in the traditional sense. And you think that's how you do it for all the Pokemon. Nope! Because there are Pokemon who have to be fused with a stone in order to evolve to a certain degree, and there are Pokemon who have to be basically convinced with friendship, more on that later, to evolve, and also there are those types of Pokemon who can only evolve if you trade them, if you get a traded version of the Pokemon you want to evolve, which is completely backwards and makes no sense whatsoever, because you're getting someone else's Pokemon and not the Pokemon you have been working on for hours upon end. I had this Haunter, and I had it grounded up until level 62 before I gave up on him, and it wouldn't turn into Gengar. I looked it up online, and it turns out if you want your Haunter to become a Gengar, you have to trade it. Which means that the guy you're trading it with is going to get a Gengar and not you! What is this nonsense?
For the trading evolutions, generally what you're supposed to do is actually have a friend with a 3DS, and you can trade locally right in the same room. And that way you're like, okay, let me give you something that you need to fill out your deck, saying I'll trade over my trader that needs to evolve. And then we'll trade back.
As it always worked like that with the Gengar and the Haunter and all the other trade-based evolutions since the beginning.
Yes.
That is stupid.
Yes, it has worked that way since the Game Boy.
This is stupid. What if you're completely alone in the world and you have no friends?
Then I think Pokemon's the least of your worries at that point.
Yes, but you get the idea. This is unfair, especially for a new player who might not know these things because this is the first Pokemon game he's buying, and he's assuming that, a good game would actually forewarn you when certain Pokemon can only evolve in a specific way. But the game does not, so you have to find out
the idea,
the
I
hard
suppose,
way.
is to try to leave some kind of thrill of discovery there.
Okay, there is such a thing as the thrill of finding out a new type of Pokemon that you have not seen before. Ooh, what's this? This looks interesting. I want to catch it. And then there is the game cheating you out of the reward you set yourself up to. Essentially.
It used to be that there was only 3 ways to evolve back in the beginning. The trade, the stones, and the, just grinding it up. So basically, with only 3 methods of evolution, it wasn't that difficult to figure out, okay, what do I need to do? Well, I got this Pokemon over level 50 and it hasn't evolved yet. Okay, let's throw some stones at it. Oh, it didn't evolve. Okay, that means I have to trade this one. You could easily process of elimination that. But now, some of these Pokemon have such specific things that you need to do to evolve it. For example, everyone knows that Eevee evolves.
Oh, yeah!
500 bajillion Pokemon.
Yeah, Eevee is a fine example of that, actually. Yeah.
Okay, so basically if you use evolution stones on it, you can only get 4 of the given Pokemon.
Leafeon.
And there's more stones than that.
Iceon, and Flareon, Vaporeon. Even the one that's one with the night. You can get with a stone,
Umbreon.
if I'm not mistaken. Umbreon, yes, you can get that with the Dusk Stone. I think.
Yeah, I think you have to use a Dusk Stone on that one. However,
yes, there are only 2 Dusk Stones in Pokemon Moon, as far as I know.
Yeah. Then they made 3 of the Eevee evolutions. You don't use stones at all. You have to, for 2 of them, the Grass one, Leafeon, and the Ice one, Glaceon, you have to level them up a very specific place. If you do it anywhere other than this place, they will not become that form.
Because now they've introduced the concept of Pokemon that only evolve during nighttime. For example, there is the freaking puppy dog, Rockruff, which I hate because it's just a dog. In the Moon version, it can evolve into basically a canine edgelord, the Lycanroc, and it's kind of cool in a very ironic way. But it can only evolve during nighttime. I wouldn't know that if I hadn't checked that out. Meanwhile, the Sun version of the same dog, because it has 2 different evolutions, one for each game, the Sun version of that evolution can evolve normally during daylight. So there's that.
So, yeah, it gets pretty confusing at this point. This is one of those games that if you actually really want to complete the Pokedex, if you're going to need a guide of some kind.
Why would you do that to yourself?
Printed one or an online guide. Something.
That's bollocks. That is many layers of bollocks, and it's the exact opposite of having fun. I mean,
that's assuming
if you
that
get a rare Pokemon and you want it to evolve a little bit, but you don't know how because you've been leveling it up until level 60 and it doesn't evolve, then you look up online and it turns out that you had to use the Dawnstone to do that. I'm just throwing it out there, but you cannot use the Dawnstone because you already used that stone to evolve something else and you don't have it anymore. Yeah, so there's that. There is that sensation of, oh no, how could you do this to me, game? I thought we were friends. Wasn't this franchise all about friendship? It really isn't, but you get the idea.
It really isn't. It's about animal cruelty, but I think that's been gone over many, many times.
Yes. So, there is a lot to talk about this game, honestly, about all the little things that piss me off. Mainly...
I think we should at least give some lip service to the story as it
Actually, before that, let's still tackle the technical element, because I have my 2DS here, because I have a 2DS version of that. Let me turn it on. Yes. Okay, so there is little music in the background for ambience, if you will. So I'm in the menu, right? There's a lot of stuff here. There is the Poképelago, which you can go in, and it's basically where you leave your Pokemon when they have nothing to do and they are not in your active party. And you can have them do all sorts of mania labor, slavery, like planting plants or exploring caves to give you more stones of power. Or maybe they can just circle around an island and do nothing. But hopefully something interesting will happen and a new Pokemon will just wander by and you can get it. That's great. Of course, you have the Pokebeans, which you use it to feed them and make them your friends. There are many ways to make a Pokemon your friends, if you know what I'm saying. Pokemon Refresh would be one of those systems, because you can just go there, you can select a Pokemon in your active party, you can take out your Nintendo stick. Oh, look, what's this? Oh, it's a Toxapex.
Your stylus.
I have a nice Toxapex right now, ready to be cuddled and loved. Well, little Toxapex, here's a little Pokebean for you. Nom 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 nom. And now it's time for your daily rubbing. Yeah, you like that rubbing, don't you? Yes, you like it. You're going to love it. You're going to love me because of this. Yeah, and you can literally rub every single part of their body. At this point, it seems like a good time to point out that I have a Salazzle in my party. And if you've seen the design of the Salazzle and what you can actually do in this game with your stylus, I do mean everywhere, then you might see what I'm getting at here. Game Freak knows its audience, let me tell you, and I think it's going out of its way to create more furries and just unleash them to the world. They are selling sex to your children. They are like Disney.
Oh, God.
Honestly, I hate these minigames. They are kind of necessary because of the perks they give you when a Pokemon is sufficiently trained in that sense. But all the same, I hate them. It's like I'm playing a Frozen Elsa minigame, one of those help Elsa dress up minigames.
Yeah, I know the one that you're talking about.
Or also My Little Ponies, and also they did that kind of minigame for everything. And it's here in a Pokemon game, an officially released Nintendo game that people have to pay for. Hallelujah. I think that was important to illustrate in a very mature way. Yes, you like that, don't ya? Get some more of this rubbing. Yeah. You know? It's
okay,
so it's a bit unsettling and it makes me feel a bit uncomfortable, to be honest. Oh, by the way, I have a Sylveon by the name of Percival. I thought you'd like to know, because it's a fairy.
Yay! Sylveon is awesome.
Right.
But, okay, moving on to the actual story as it is.
Okay, our adventure begins in the region of Alola, when you're met up with the local professor, Professor Kukui, which greets you. Hey, how you doing, Mon? Welcome to the region of Alola, Mon! My Jamaican is terrible, but you get the idea. He's annoying. He annoys me greatly. So
again, as your favorite part of the opening is like, Aloha's full of real Pokemon, eh? And then, he just pulls out Rockruff.
Yeah. Okay, I was going to say that. Thank you for stealing my favorite joke. 20 seconds into the game, the professor says, Alola region is full of mighty, rare creatures, Mon. Pokemon, if you will. And then the first thing that appears as an example to that, it's a freaking puppy. It's just a regular, normal dog. There is nothing special about it. It's a puppy. That is your rare creature? It's adorable, yes, but that is your rare creature? Okay, 20 seconds into the game, I was just willing to stop playing forever after that. that really colored my perception of the entirety of the rest of the game. And then after that, we get a cutscene in which there's this girl with blonde hair trying to escape from some non-specific evil organization that dresses all white, so you know something self-righteous is upon us. And of course, there's Nebby, who will never stay in her damn bag.
In the fucking bag. Yes.
Get in your damn bag, Nebby! What if somebody sees you outside of the bag? And the entire Alolan region have seen that thing by now. Nobody cares, lady. So,
by the way, that's like become a complete meme at this point.
I know, I've seen stuff. So, me, in my JRPG experience, I thought, so this is going to be the plot of the game. Something related to this girl and the Pokemon in her bag, which turns out to be a legendary Ultra Beast from another dimension, spoiler alerts. And I thought that was going to be the focus of the story. 30 hours in! 30 hours in! We finally address that plot point. 30 hours in. You see, this is the main problem I have with Pokemon Sun and or Moon, is that you have an A plot and a B plot. The A plot is basically...
And the B plot is way more interesting than the A plot.
It isn't, but more on that later. So the A plot is gonna catch them all, gonna be the very best at battling animals and become the island's kahuna, or whatever it is, the leader of the Leaf Village, or whatever it is kids do these days. I don't know. I'm out of touch, I guess. So that is plot A, just you with your customized character going around, catching Pokemon, occasionally roughing up the Team Skull, which so stupid. Oh my god. And getting acknowledgement from the strongest trainers up until you get to the end, in which you have to fight the obligatory Pokemon League, which is to say the Elite Four, and the totally surprise and unexpected final boss, you guys, which is the single most predictable final boss in existence. And then there is the plot number B. I said plot number B. I know what I said.
Yes.
Which is basically ripping off every Final Fantasy game ever made. Essentially. But you know, it's better than nothing. At least you get to go into another dimension and pretend you're actually saving the world, where in reality the stakes had never been lower, and you had to face this crazy Yandere mom, who is Yandere for Pokemon, which is different, I would admit. She created this evil organization. Well, it wasn't supposed to be evil at first. It was supposed to be helping out Pokemon, loving them. The problem is, she loves them too much. In a very possessive way, in a very yandere way. I need to love them. Ho, ho, ho. So she's obsessed with the pan-dimensional creatures and all that. So, spoiler alert, by the way, she fuses herself with a jellyfish monster by the end, and that gets me all excited because,
you're like, oh my god, they're gonna actually have a boss fight? What? Maybe it's like Tentacle's gonna be like its own Pokemon or something?
Yes, that would be awesome. Finally, okay, I can get behind this. We're fighting this crazy mom inside a jellyfish monster. That's great. Wait. Why the hell am I fighting her Pokemon instead?
I think the first thing that she does is she throws out like an evil Clefable. And then you're like, what?
I have never been so disappointed in a boss battle than this. This is... I was expecting... Why did you even bother to fuse yourself with a jellyfish monster if you're not fighting yourself?
I know.
That is so... That is diabolical, Pokemon. That is why I hate Pokemon. Because the stakes are meaningless in these games. Because, you know, after all that, after you virtually saved the world of at least one crazy mom, and you actually battled and conquered an actual Pokemon god, that should be the end of the game, right? Nope! Because now you have to go fight the Pokemon League. So let me get this
Pokemon
straight.
God to beat the crap out of some other trainers.
So let me get this straight. You defeated and captured a god. And then the game ends with you fighting regular trainers and the regular Pokemon?
Yep.
What is wrong with you, Pokemon? What is wrong with you?
Because it's tradition, unfortunately. You see, these games didn't used to have any story.
I know. Honestly, I wish.
Started inserting some story to it.
You know, to be honest, I kind of wish this game did not have any pretense at a B plot or a actual plot at all, with actual backstories and possibly some element of intrigue regarding evil Pokemon experimentations and, you know, even some phony pro-environmentalist message, because why not? Just give it to me. I'll take anything at this point. But I wish it didn't have it, because that way I wouldn't get my hopes up and I wouldn't be so disappointed that when I get to fight Jellyfish Mom...
by the boss battle that wasn't.
Exactly.
Actually,
okay.
Something that was a change to me from previous Pokemon games was the rival was actually a likable character.
Yeah, that surprised me too. It was just so nice and boring and one-dimensional. Can I get Blue back, please? Just at least, you know, I would feel something when I defeat him.
Actually, you can.
I know. I fought him, and I barely made it out of there alive. And not because I had weaker Pokemon, I did not, but because I already faced the entire area of trainers, and my elf situation wasn't the best, and I was not expecting to run into that encounter as soon as I got to a new location.
I personally fought Red. His freaking Pikachu took down 3 of my team.
Blue's Alakazam was a nightmare. I know it was a nightmare also in the original game. Okay, so I want to talk a bit about this game's own enemy team, because tradition imposes that every Pokemon game, every generation as it were, has a team of scoundrels that you fend off regularly. There was the original Team Rocket at some point, a couple of times, and Team Cosmo, I guess?
There was a Team Cosmo, I believe. There was a Team Magma. Okay. There was a team, there was a team that was hyper-obsessed with, like, stealing Pokemon to free them. God, I can't remember what that team's name was. But that was actually the most interesting team, at least.
Okay, so you could say that every team at some point had some weight behind them. They were reasonably feared, they had goals, organization, they had presentation. Giovanni, the leader of Team Rocket, was a suave, cat-petting Bond villain, essentially.
He was basically supposed to be like a mafia Don.
Yeah, and then there's Team Skull. Oh boy. What a far cry. Team Skull is none of that.
Team Skull can't even afford electricity in the town.
Every time they show up, they're all like, oh look, it's Team Skull. So where was I? Oh yeah, nice weather we're having today. Nobody takes them seriously. They're just the most...
The only person in the game that fears Team Skull is Lily.
Yes, well, because she's not from around there, is she?
No, she isn't.
Okay, I can tell by how white she is compared to others. So anyway, Team Skull, the first time they show up, they come at me looking like the biggest posers in existence with their stupid skull-themed handkerchiefs covering their faces and their hats and their jackets, talking and walking like gangsta rappers. They are the most embarrassing thing I've ever laid eyes on. They are basically a group of...
entertaining because of it.
Yes, they are. Especially their leader, Guzma. Hey kid, you want to know what the face of destruction looks like? It's your boy, Guzma! He should be a professional wrestler with that gimmick.
Right.
What a far cry from Giovanni he is. I don't know how old he is actually, but he's this loser thug that thinks he's all dead, but in reality is just so insecure, and that reflects in the entirety of the team. They get self-awareness every once in a while, But just the first time they show up...
Couldn't help but laugh. One thing I do want to comment on, and this is actually something that nicely springboards off of Team Skull, is that the music in this game is actually really good. Especially, like, I actually love the Team Skull battle music.
Okay, I'm going to be honest, I don't think the soundtrack is particularly excellent. And I say that because the only theme that actually stuck with me was that one theme that plays when you're fighting the Legendary. That does feel like a final boss theme, if you ask me. That should have been the final boss, damn it!
Yes.
So there's that.
But, yeah, basically, it does do one thing that most games don't, though. It tells you what happens to washed up trainers. Because
they become
Aloha
Team Skull,
region,
I guess.
If you fuck up, you become Team Skull, essentially.
No! Well, it was their choice to do that because they really couldn't face themselves and they did not even try enough. I guess that's the whole point of Team Skull. They are losers because they pretty much impose themselves to be like that. They're all a ball of insecurity. I guess that makes them, if not interesting, at least a bit compelling. I never get tired of thrashing them, and the second time they appear, you can just have the option of forgetting who they are, and then they pull off one of the only funny gags in the entire game in that, what, just because we switch position, you cannot recognize us because the joke is that they all looks the same.
Exactly.
So that was nice. That was one of the only funny moments in the entire game because otherwise the humor is a bit below me. But then again, it's Pokemons. Perhaps I should say it's Pokemon.
Humor, but I mean, not like juvenile and like fart jokes type of way, but I mean just juvenile and that's clearly aimed towards.
I guess then the term you're looking for is childish.
Childish. There we go.
It's for kids.
I mean,
in this game for
really
kids. Oh yeah!
We're obviously trying for all ages.
Oh yeah! It's a game for kids! You see? And in this game for kids, you can rub this Pokemon. Every inch of them. In fact, in this game for kids, there are also these quirky descriptions that the Pokédex gives you when you capture something.
Yeah.
Oh, let's talk about some of them. In fact, let me just go back to the Pokemon Center. I'll show you my Gengar. Well, I won't show you my Gengar, but I'll read you what my Pokédex says about my Gengar. It's interesting to just stop and read these passages, because some part of you has to be thinking, what were they thinking?
Some of them can get really dark.
I mean,
yeah.
it's kind of interesting, and it makes me wish Pokemon was more an adult-oriented game so that we could properly explore why Gengar became what it is, for example. That would be nice. Let me find it on the Pokédex, because my gosh.
Well, a little bit of trivia for you. There's a theory running around that during the initial design process, Gengar was made very early on in the design process of the original Pokemon. And so was Clefairy.
Let me read it.
In fact, Clefairy was the fourth one designed.
It apparently...
So the theory is that Gengar was supposed to be the shadow of Clefable. It's evolved for.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of like its evil shadow.
I get it. So, the Gengar. It apparently wishes for a traveling companion. Oh, that's nice. He feels lonely. He just needs a friend, right? Since it was once human itself, it tries to create one by taking the lives of other humans. Oh boy. Yeah. Oh wait, I got Frostlass, which is even better.
The Pokédex have always had, like, interesting little tidbits in there, though. Again, with the more recent games, they've gotten progressively darker. Like, it didn't used to be that they outright told you that ghost Pokemon used to be human, but now they've had multiple cases where they're like, yeah, this ghost Pokemon was a human, bro. You're like, I guess that means humans are Pokemon in some intent purpose in this world.
In a certain anime, humans became slime at some point, so nothing surprises me. Okay, so Frostlass is basically Yuki Onna. the snowy woman.
Yes.
They took that particular famous yokai from Japanese folklore and turned it into a Pokemon. It's about as straightforward as it could get. The soul of a woman lost on a snowy mountain possessed an icicle, becoming this Pokemon. The food it most relishes is the souls of men. So basically, you capture this Pokemon, you use it to battle someone else's Pokemon, and they suck the soul of the trainer. I guess you win. This should be Mortal Kombat.
That would be awesome.
That would be a very different game. A game I would love to play, actually.
It would be a very different game.
Can we have an adult-oriented Pokemon in which all of these descriptions, these horrible descriptions, actually get applied in a combat situation?
It would be kind of nice. So we're starting to run low on time, so I think we should give our final thoughts.
Okay, so final thoughts are the same as the initial thoughts. I don't think this game is good for various reasons. I enjoy some aspects of it, such as the rock, paper, scissors dynamic in between Pokemon, which allows a Pokemon that's a lower level to have the better of a Pokemon of a higher level if said Pokemon is of a specific type that can be damaged harshly by the other type of Pokemon you currently have. For example, you have a level 10 water type Pokemon and it's fighting a level 15 fire type Pokemon. You are 5 levels below, but since you're a water type and the other one is a fire type, the water type is most likely to win. Of course, that dynamic does not apply if, say, you have a fire type that's level 50 fighting a water type that's level 10. Obviously.
Yes, because Pokemon at the end of the day is still math. If you just have too big a discrepancy
My
in numbers,
favorite!
there's no way you can make it up.
Anyway.
Well, that's hardcore Pokemans.
Even though I enjoy that dynamic, it would have been nice to know which Pokemon could evolve in a specific way or not. It would have been nice not to have this whole bloody minigame that you had to play in order to have your Pokemon be at its possible best during a battle. Say, if it has any hope of avoiding moves, for example. I could have used a lot less fat, so to speak. Oh, we did not even talk about the Carnival Plaza, which is basically the one place you go to trade online Pokemon and do battle online and all of that jazz. I don't care. Do you?
Not really.
Okay, let's skip it then. Professionalism. I think we talked about most of it. I hate certain aspects of the so-called story, like the fact that the more interesting plot is the B plot, and the more generic one is the A plot. And I hate the fact that before the B plot gets kick-started, we had to wait 30 hours, essentially. You had to go through the first 3 islands, and by that point, you basically completed most of the game, at least most of the main story. There is still a lot to do afterwards, I found out. Like this whole arc of the Ultra Beasts that you have to catch.
And you have to catch them. You can't just, beat them up. No, you have to catch them.
Yes, you have to catch them all. Gotta catch them all. At this point, you actually have dropped any sense of pretense, because you are literally a child catching gods, sent by this world equivalent of the Interpol to catch gods.
Yes. No, to catch strange creatures from another dimension, really. They're not necessarily gods, but they're really powerful.
Well, they are gods to us in the same sense Thor is a god in the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, probably. I mean, come on, they can take control of MILFs using their mind-controlled jellyfish powers.
Nah. That you cannot fight inexplicably. Because, I thought you're fighting her Pokemon first, and then you get to fight her, right? Nope, just her Pokemon. Nope. So disappointed.
Yeah, that was easily the biggest letdown.
So, what was your favorite Pokemon in Pokemon Moon and or Sun? Was it the regular dog? The edgelord dog? The Donald Trump weasel? Let me know in your comments eventually.
Yes, comments are good. If you want to know, my personal favorite Pokemon in this game was